To date, this right here is the coolest effing picture I have seen. I saw this.
Yeah.
I saw Luffy one-punch Bellamy and drill him into the ground, and I was bouncing in my chair. This is so stinking good. This is just that good. I had a slow time in the store today. I was sitting there. I reached into my briefcase. I pulled this out. I said, "Let's finish Jaya." And I get to. I've been reading Jaya for a week. Little bits and pieces at a time. And it's been interesting and it's been fun and there's these cool little hysterical art and all the funny hidden humor in the back. All of that is really good. But then I get to this punch where he takes out Bellamy and I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like and even better than that. Right before that he says, "Oh, you want to see me throw a punch?"
Yep.
I'm just like, welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
I'm Noah. And he has been antsy since he arrived today. I wasn't planning on recording any One Piece today, but you have been on pins and needles since you arrived.
I have been on pins and needles since I stopped this. And the thing is, we're supposed to record Jaya next week, and I really do need to go back and I need to re-look at a few things, so that I understand them better. But there is so much that happened, and I don't even know if I brought my note here with. I probably didn't.
No.
But we get to the end of Jaya, and we get the return of Shanks. And the really interesting thing about the return of Shanks here, I really, really loved. We see the first meeting between Luffy and Zoro and Bellamy. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yes.
And Nami has told them, don't fight.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they don't. Mm-hmm. And Bellamy's pounding on them. He's right, and they're getting destroyed there, and they're taking it. They're just standing there taking it. And of course, she's screaming at him, why are you doing it? Fight back, fight back, fight back. And the whole subplot of the argument between Zoro and Nami. Will you make up your mind? Right? It's almost like they're married. Will you make up your mind? Because she's saying, fight, don't fight, don't fight, do something, don't do something. And he's just being aggravated. Will you make up your mind? It's absolutely hysterical. But, no, I just, like rabbit holed myself into forgetting my main thought. But you see this.
No, you were talking about the bar scene.
Shanks,
I know exactly where you were going.
Well, okay,
with it. I'm pretty sure.
I wrote a note. Is this Luffy's Shanks moment? Because it goes all the way back to the beginning when Shanks doesn't fight in a bar. And Shanks just realizes it's better not to fight than to fight. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, has Luffy matured? He finally gets it. He finally understands it. He's grown up. He's going to be the pirate he's going to be the pirate that Shanks said he wasn't ready to be. And so all of this just comes flooding back. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is so exciting because he got there. He did it. And I really didn't think it was going to come this soon in the story.
You have hit that point where people are, all the commenters who are like, oh, it's so much fun to rewatch these because you see watch these videos or reread because you see so much more. You're getting to that point where you're going to start seeing things that are callbacks and full circle moments. And
okay, but
you've been starting to hit some of them, but and we're still setting up for more, but that is a huge moment because Luffy isn't going to change too much personality. He's still going to be goofy. He's going to be Luffy at the end of the day. But sure. But yes, you needed moments like this, and that is huge. That is a huge moment. It's one of my favorite moments.
It's a huge moment, and it's there's a lot that comes full circle, but this was a big one, right?
Yeah.
This one just had me like vibrating. I don't think I've ever read a section of this story that has gotten me this jacked. It's Jaya. Jaya just got me jacked. And I'll be honest with you. I'm reading the storyline of the salvagers.
Yeah.
This is so weird. And then the 25-year-old guy who's never cut his hair, who's actually the king of everything there.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then you meet Diamond Head Dude, right? I promise you, if we go back and we record this, I'll have names and everything.
Oh, we will.
You know,
but
I'm just like, I got to get this out.
you needed to get this out.
I needed to get this out. So
this is a part one of a 2-part video that will be spliced together.
It's going to have to be because
there's too much energy in this.
The whole story about, and correct me for not remembering the
Mont
guy.
Blanc. Nolan the Liar.
Nolan the Liar. Nolan the Liar.
Mont
Nolan
Blanc.
the Liar was like one of those stories that was so sad
Yes.
and so interesting.
Yeah.
But so sad. And this thing that creates this generational problem that lasts, what was it, 400 years or something?
About that, yeah.
It was, like 4 centuries of one family being cursed by a dude who's considered to be just the biggest liar and can't possibly be. You're right. So what was interesting for me was the introduction of Blackbeard. Because the introduction of Blackbeard, correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't they sitting in the bar? Isn't he the guy they're arguing, this tastes good, this tastes bad?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so...
Yes.
I see what might be the funniest, most subtle introduction of this powerful pirate that has been hinted at, and you get this guy, and I remember when I was reading it, I was thinking this guy is huge, and he's got. My first thought was he's got wisdom. He's
got a bit of it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And so he handles the whole situation there so well. And then we come back to find out he's Blackbeard the pirate. And I was just like, that is so cool. That is just, that was just so cool. So, this chapter art right here, we'll have to flash this up on the screen. I just... Again, God, the chapter cover art
is great.
Absolutely.
That's a random one that just does.
Yeah, well, this one.
It's just random. There's no story.
Okay.
Yeah, he just likes drawing the Straw Hats with animals.
This one right here, and it just made me wonder: is this Nami in the future? Is this post Straw Hat? Is this post?
That would be interesting if that would. I don't know. I don't know if he's ever...
And of course, Route 666, which I found very funny.
Yeah.
I found that to be very, very funny. I didn't even want to try to read into that.
Yeah.
But you know, so we get this idea, Luffy gets this idea in his head, I'm going back and I'm getting the gold. The gold that was stolen.
Yeah.
With the absolute certainty that we now know Luffy has. I mean, it's well established. If he makes his mind up to do something, he's going to do it.
Yes.
And he goes and he does it. And I'm kind of disappointed.
I like, if I may, real quick.
Oh yeah, no,
Jump
jump in.
Sections.
Slow me down.
I love everyone finding his updated bounty and being like,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The whole idea that the word's getting out that he took out one of the warlords, right?
Well,
okay.
no. That's not publicized.
That wasn't publicized?
It's not publicized.
Oh, I thought word
He's
got
just
out of
given...
it. Oh, he just got hired.
It hasn't gone out to the public.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I think that's something that is mentioned there, but essentially the government's like, hey, we shouldn't let anyone know that this upstart just defeated one of the warlords.
So you know how way back in the beginning when we first met the clown, Buggy, and my very first thought was I hate the artwork. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe how happy I was to see Buggy. I was like, Buggy comes back, and I'm like, it's the clown, and I couldn't remember his name. I was like I have a mental block on his screen, and then Elvita comes back.
Yeah,
and of course it took me a moment to remember Elvita had the fruit, and you know, and but then I'm thinking to myself, this is so cool because now we're getting these established, powerful characters coming together. There's got to be a collision somewhere. That's what I'm thinking. Obviously I don't know because it hasn't happened before. They try to go to the island in the sky, but you get this. They're entertaining. There's good story. Then we meet the 5 elders.
Also known, I'm going to let you know this right now. This is where names and stuff gets. So they're also known as the 5 They were in the original translations. Sometimes they were referred to as the 5 elder stars. They're also known as the Gorosei.
The Gorosei.
Okay. So if you see that being used to refer to them, those are also names. But the 5 elders is simple.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to stick to that. But the 5 elders.
This guy, the artwork on this guy right here, I just keep thinking Elbeth. You're
thinking the giants?
Yeah, and I'm just it's stuck in my head when I see that artwork. You know, it's an impressive mustache too. Damn, that's like
A couple of them have impressive mustaches.
Yeah, they really do. So when we start meeting the other warlords, that's really cool. We get all of these different powerful characters coming in, and then of course Mihawk makes his appearance, right? And it's like what a great character. And the interesting thing, not only is he a great character, but the live action performance was so good. Just so good.
So good.
And so you just keep I need to take notes and start doing a cast of characters.
I love how casually you just passed over that 2-page spread too. By the way,
this one right here. Okay,
the introduction of Whitebeard.
Yeah, no, so I that little. I recorded a little 30-second.
Yeah, I know.
Today,
I know. I saw that.
Right.
So I was like, kind of like.
But
what?
no, I mentioned Whitebeard in it.
Yeah, I know.
I did. He's big.
Yeah, he's big.
He's really big.
He ain't a giant.
No, he's just really
big.
Honking big with an impressive mustache. But the return of Shanks. Okay, just because he's a cool character.
And where Shanks is going.
Yeah, and so we're gonna just not even pursue that. But I just
we will come back and revisit this probably next week. When you have your notes and you want to go into more detail, but enjoy this part 1, which will probably
just put it.
We'll just put it right, and then there'll be a screen that says part 2, and then part 2 start, and then boom.
Different shirt and a calmer Richard, because I've just been bouncing off the walls since I saw this. This is I think this hands down is the most exciting section of One Piece I have come across yet.
I see, and this is why I was reading it pre-Skypea, and I was like, oh, we need to do this as our own video. And then I saw, guys, I promise you, I am a month ahead in the reading schedule. So I pre-read as soon as we recorded Alabasta, I read Skypea. And Jaya. Right? And that's not including how long it took to come out. So the day we recorded. So I'm ahead. But yeah, everyone had the exact same idea I did, and that was that when Alabasta came out, you guys were all like, don't lump Jaya in with Skypea. Jaya needs its own video. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
we were already on it.
You're right. You're right, because I need to take a day. Yeah. And I need to decompress. Because my energy level is just absolutely sky high. And then I'll take my notes and I'll give slightly more thoughtful analysis than the little kid at the end of The Incredibles saying, "That was so cool," because that was so cool.
And don't you touch anything, because that deeper analysis starts now. Thank you, past us. We're back. It has been basically 2 seconds for you, but for us, it's been a week. So
and what a week it's been.
Has it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we are. This is part 2
of Jaya.
Yeah, there was a part 2 with a chung in the edit, the dramatic dun.
All right, so you notice a significant tonal shift between the first 15 minutes in this one. That, however, that's
not going to last long.
Well, I went home And I, started rereading and I started taking notes. And, every time I picked up the book and I started to read for notes, I found I was not taking notes and I'm just rereading. Okay. And I'm like, oh, God, I got to get ready for this, And go back. And then suddenly I realized I'm reading again. And the thing is that every time I opened up the book and started reading, I just
got lost in
got lost in the story again. And to the point where, even today when I'm putting the finishing notes on the paper, my finishing thoughts on the paper, I'm like, I can't keep my mind focused. That's the biggest problem with this is my mind is galloping at the pace of the end of the Jaya segment because there is a point in Jaya where the story just gallops to the end. It's just a huge jump. So I'm trying to decide where do we even start with this?
Where do you start with this?
This right here.
I'm reading the title. I usually don't read ahead, but there's a big title on this one, and yes, you're right.
Yes.
Anyway.
Right. Okay. Dreams and Adventures. Because it hit me yesterday, and it was just like, okay, this is... Ever since you were talking about the theme of leadership, and you did an extended analysis of leadership, and honestly, I've been teaching for so long that to be put in my place as student and listen to someone, I was just like, wow, that was an eye-opening experience. And I also found the beginning of Jaya to be confusing, difficult to follow.
Yeah,
nothing made sense to me.
I believe it.
So when Masura came in, I thought, oh, okay, here's the next big nemesis that they're going to defeat, and he turns out to be anything but.
Who comes in?
Masura, the ape, the salvage ape, right?
Yeah. Sorry,
the gorilla. No, that's okay. So there's a running discussion in Jaya concerning dreams and adventures.
Yes, there is.
Right? Okay.
Yes, there is.
It starts in the bar.
Yes,
right?
there is.
Everybody's making fun of Nami and Luffy and Zoro when they learn that they want to travel to the island in the sky, right? And we meet in that bar sequence, and folks, we're just going to be jumping all over this section, right?
As we do.
We meet Bellamy, and we find out that Bellamy is stupid and cruel. He's just stupid and cruel. He's got power, but he really doesn't have a lot of brains behind it. And he's cardboard. He's a two-dimensional villain.
Oh, yeah.
Right, okay, so I'm not expecting really to see him again. Although one of the things I'm learning about One Piece is expect the unexpected.
I mean, you got to think.
Right.
5 minutes ago to them, you were just talking about Buggy being so excited about Buggy being.
Oh yeah, I was really excited about Buggy coming back. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was so cool. He says they were lucky. He doesn't like people who say they were lucky to die chasing their dreams. Bellamy says they're all losers. And when I see fools wasting their time on dreams, I go berserk. Now, an interesting thing, the text, there's a phenomenal online source for One Piece manga. But the text in that is different from the text in these that I'm reading.
Yep.
Okay, this is a better translation.
For you? Oh, yeah.
For me. I mean, just when I read what's on here versus what's in here, I like this better. Whoever went through here really...
Well, a lot of the sites that you find online will have slightly different translations. They're more like fan translations or scanlations, which are, they scan the book. And that's how we get all of our leaks.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
People... Anyway, because the Japanese manga releases a week before the American manga, typically.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
scanlation, I get it. Very nice. Yeah. All right. Luffy allows Bellamy to beat him up. Now, we know that Nami has made them promise not to fight, but then we come to find out later that there's a whole subtext to that going on that relates back to Shanks and his childhood and everything else.
It's another.
Okay?
It's that's that full circle moment.
Yeah,
Sorry for repeating ourselves, but more in depth now.
Help me get my thoughts right. Because what you saw in the beginning of this video was a week ago. I was so stinking hyped I couldn't sit still.
He was the hype.
I am the hype.
I was just full. I was a live wire. Anyway. He leaves the bar and he meets the cherry pie pirate on the street. Now, so here's how this gets stuck in my head. We meet this pirate.
Yes.
Now, you're gonna find this hard to believe.
Okay.
All right, but when I first saw that pirate, because of the artwork, I had a very, very brief thought: Blackbeard.
Okay.
But it was brief. It was a flash. And then they leave him in the street.
Yeah.
So I completely dismissed it and forgot about it. So when we go back and we find out that that's Blackbeard, right, that's Teach. And it was so exciting. It was just so phenomenal. But I needed to give him a name so that I could remember him. And because they had the argument about the cherry pies, I named him the Cherry Pie Pirate. And that's how I remembered him. Okay. So they're on the street. He mocks the idea of the age of pirate dreams being over by shouting, "People's dreams don't ever end."
Yes.
Okay, now this is
his... people's dreams never die.
Exactly, yes.
And either one of those is a great...
Right. And then he says, "It isn't easy to be great." And then he says, "Let them laugh. If you're aiming for the top, you don't always need your fists to show your might." So there's the second person... He verbalizes what Shanks didn't, or didn't do it as well as obvious, right? So at the same time, wrapped up in dreams is adventures, and they overlap. They're almost one and the same in this, right? And so we have Mont Blanc Cricket shares Luffy's love of adventure.
Yes.
Man's dreams will never die. Okay, so... no one has ever proved that El Dorado or Skypiea doesn't exist. That's what makes it a great adventure.
Yes.
And you see this picture of him just, arms out in the air, and he's shouting this, and he's so full of energy. And if you go back, to when Luffy first learns that there's an island in the sky, the first thing he says is, "I want to go."
And what does Luffy do every time he gets excited? He's like, "Let's go!"
Yeah, exactly.
On an adventure.
Exactly, because
same pose.
Whole thing is a great adventure,
yes.
Right? And he's also one of the things at this point in the story you realize Luffy is resolute. He's called an idiot. He's sitting and he's talking to Shoju and Mazira, and twice in the story early on, they say they get along because they're all
monkeys.
They're all monkeys, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you see this, but when he gets something set in his mind, there is no dissuading him.
No,
he sits under the tree and says, "I'm not going any further. I want to go kick Crocodile's rear end." Right? You know? It's the same type of thing. I want to go to the island in the sky. There's nothing that's going to get him away from that.
Exactly.
Okay. Luffy combines the ideas of the dreams and adventures when he says about trying to reach Skypiea, "A dream in a dream. Now that's a great adventure. If we don't do this, we'll regret it for the rest of our lives." And I thought, holy smokes. Now, slight left-hand turn.
Yeah.
Sunday night, the husband of a shop owner that I know very, very well, whose business is across the street from mine, he passed away. Stage 4 cancer. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, when I first met him and I knew about his diagnosis, he looked at me and he said, "Life is too short to be doing what you don't want to do. Make whatever changes you need to make so that you are doing what you want to do." The real life application of, if we don't do this, we'll regret it for the rest of our lives. It is exactly what a man named Don said to me 30 years ago when I packed up everything in my car and moved, because a freckle-faced redhead said dating would be easier if we lived in the same city. So I bring those 2 points. Just there is so much truth in this story.
Yes.
There is so much life truth in this story, and so Bellamy shows great cruelty when he beats up Cricket.
Yes.
And Masira and Shoju, and he steals their treasure, and it's worth mentioning what he says. It's so much more rewarding to steal someone's treasure when they've suffered a lot to get it in the first place. The depravity in that, but
yeah,
it's yeah.
Yeah,
And
I can't put it better than that.
Yeah,
The depravity.
Yeah, it is. Right? Okay. And so, but Cricket's response, and this is what is so absolutely cool, because Cricket's lost the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Cricket's lost his treasure.
Yep.
Right? But he hasn't lost his dream, which is to remove the shame from his family, which we'll talk about in a different part. But a spineless whelp that beats people's dreams out of them has no right to call himself a pirate. And I'm just like, another definition to add to the list of what is piracy. And so much, I've struggled with this up until now. I think Jaya just ended this for me.
Okay.
I've struggled with this idea of what is piracy, but the freedom and the adventure and the ability to chase your own dreams, all wrapped up into the word pirate. Not quite the piracy that the modern Western world, associates with it. Really a cool moment, but that's what makes Luffy's one-punch takedown of Bellamy so satisfying.
Yes.
So absolutely, and so excited. God, I was bouncing in my seat. I was so happy.
And Bellamy was bouncing too.
All right. So, the question corner.
Yeah.
All right. I've got a couple of the question corner ones, but this one fit in perfectly. Someone wrote in question corner, I have a serious question for you, Oda-sensei. Why is it that in the manga world, people always understand whatever language is being spoken, no matter where they go?
Yeah.
And I hate the fact that this chokes me up just a little bit. His answer, because manga is about people's dreams. And in my introduction to manga, and it's such a large genre with so many different stories on that is quite the statement. And like that one's going to be burned into my mind, because if I look at any other manga, I'm going to be asking myself, is that what's going on here? Dreams and adventures.
Yes. 100%.
Huge theme running through this whole thing.
Yeah, that's Jaya.
Yes.
Like, I don't really have anything to add.
Well,
because that's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, in terms of analyzing it from a thematic standpoint, that's pretty much all there, And then that's not to say that, that's all there is. Like, Jaya's a great section of writing, and it's so much fun across the board. The whole hunt for the Southbird that takes place in this.
The hunt for the Southbird
is just a weird, goofy little side quest.
Well, thank you. Side quest is exactly. I really didn't write much about the because
it's just kind of filling time, and it's a reason for them not to be there when Bellamy attacks, and and
I hadn't thought of that, but yes, it does get them out of the way for that.
It gets them out of the way for that.
I like to
because obviously Luffy. I guess one thing I'll add to this is that Luffy really does not. He does not care if you talk bad about him or his dream, his goals, his aspirations. Right. He doesn't really care. You can talk bad about him. You can talk crap about him all you want. You do not talk that way about someone he considers his friend. That's why he goes back.
There's a huge example of that in here, and I've got it. But I mean, we might as well,
Keep going.
When he races into town to get the gold back from Bellamy's pirates, he's not thinking about himself.
Nope.
He's not thinking about the gold or any. He is thinking about his friends. You see it in the flashback panels. He's thinking about Cricket.
Yep.
He's thinking about Noland. He's thinking about the whole story and how important it is to have that.
Yes,
and he's going there because he's getting it back for them.
Yes.
And
that's exactly what he's doing.
you know, that's a huge aspect of his character once you become his friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, to
Yep.
the length he's going to go. Mont Blanc Cricket, who I'm just going to call Cricket from here on out because Mont Blanc is wordy. Descendant of Nolan the Liar, family lived in shame for 400 years because of Nolan and how he ended his life. And his goal is to erase the family shame. That hit, right? That hurt. That one hurt. The whole concept of living in shame. And the thing about it is, you know, shame is this super strong emotion about something that we've done.
Yes.
Okay? Not something that's done to us, but something that we've done. 400 years of family generational shame, and they haven't done anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's horrible. It is absolutely horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But his goal, before I die, I intend to set the record straight. Interestingly enough, Usopp's reply to that, when Cricket says that, is, what a man. You know, Usopp's carrying the shame of his cowardice. And he's very definitely, you're right, in it. And he's had a couple of victories.
Yep.
He's had a couple of fights where he's done well. But he's not learning from them yet. And his character arc clearly develops later in the story.
There's a... how can I say this? So the story's not over, which means the Straw Hats haven't, like, at this point in the current day, I'm being very careful about how I say this.
And they're watching closely.
We're not close enough to the end for the Straw Hats to have finished their individual character arcs.
Okay.
They have progressed, they have grown over the course of the story. Usopp's character will come full circle when he can recognize the bravery in his own actions.
Ooh, that's a mouthful. Holy smokes.
When Usopp realizes that when he has been truly brave, in spite of his fear, when he has to, like, we'll take Alabasta for example. He's terrified in that fight. He's running around. He's trying to get away from danger. He doesn't want to get hit. He's crying. He's sobbing. But he's still fighting. When he can see that as bravery, that's when his character arc will be complete.
Yes.
I think I did that correctly.
You know what? No, but you're right because
I think I did that correctly.
I've had the same thought about his right and I'm really, really intrigued because, as I've mentioned before, I've seen some of the anime over Mama Peach's shoulders. I know there's a point where he separates from the crew. I don't know what causes it. I don't know how it ends. I don't know how they come back together. But I'm so intrigued by the concept of that. I'm going to be very disappointed if that's just anime filler and it's not. And not part of the manga.
It's not.
Right, okay. But I'm really looking forward to that because I'm really looking forward to seeing how his character grows.
Yes.
And in the meantime, I'm just kind of watching this along the way and thinking it's okay that his character development is slow. There's nothing wrong with that. So
that's kind of the case, for most of the characters. But anyway, sorry.
No. He asks Nami, and God, this is a heartbreaking moment. Am I just a pitiful coward? And she replies, "Yep, and an idiot too." She can be so harsh, right?
Yes.
But she follows that up immediately with, "But I understand how you feel," which it was a compassionate thing to say.
Yeah, after a brutal.
Yes. Luffy would love nothing more than to prove that Noland was not a liar, if for no other reason than to help Cricket erase the generations of family shame. And I suspect that that's going to happen by the end of Skypiea. Because it would be a tragedy if it didn't. You plant this seed right here. Oda's so hopeful.
Yes.
He's with everything that takes place. This story has a tremendous amount of hope to it.
Yes.
So it would be a genuine shame if that didn't take place. And so before I roll off on this particular sheet of paper, I mentioned this, and I don't know if I mentioned it to you or if I mentioned it on camera.
You did mention it on camera. Yeah.
Okay, and I probably held up the book and showed it.
Yeah, and I would have splashed it.
Yeah, if this is...
Future me will have splashed it.
Nami after the adventure ends.
Yeah.
And I just added that just because I needed to fill the page. So all these different things I've got here. The thing that I liked the most about the jungle side quest was what I learned about Robin on the jungle side quest, because it was who's the character in X-Men who can disappear and reappear in another room? Nightcrawler. Nightcrawler says he has to be able to imagine the other room, or he has to be able to see the other room.
In a lot of media, he has to at least be able to see where he's going,
right?
Or no, it depends. Right. Every teleporter works differently.
So Robin has that same thing, because here she is. I didn't recognize it for what it was when I first read it. The arms coming out of the side of the bird, and then she just reaches up and she grabs the bird, right? She knocks it down. Well, she slaps it and she knocks it down to the ground. Right? Yep. And the thing is, that slap is way up high in the top of the frame. It's tiny because of the view looking up. I missed it the first time, but
she can sprout eyes, nose, ears, mouth, limbs.
Okay, so
pretty much anywhere.
Okay, but I didn't know that.
Okay.
So
I figured it out.
So we learn a lot about Robin in this arc in Jaya. So she needs to be able to see her target to use her devil fruit powers. She says it. I need to be able to see it. So then you realize she looks up, she sees the bird. Well, then she can make the hands come out and do what she was doing. Yeah. That's really good to know. I did not know that she could do other parts of her body.
She can do feet. Because you'll find out.
Cover art. Chapter cover art. Okay. So she...
Yes.
You got to splash this one.
Yes.
Okay. And then notice this right here. Notice...
Yep.
The shoe.
Yep.
Okay, so you see it. He's shown it.
So I'm going to give you this mental image.
Yeah.
People have wanted Shanks and Robin to meet for longest time so that she can give him his arm back.
It's dark.
Welcome to the...
That is so dark. That's hysterical.
So she can lend him a hand, Broke him. Got him. Yes. Good night, everybody.
I didn't see that one coming. So we learn, this is how I learned from that cover art that she can do other parts of her body. And it just never occurred to me. I didn't think about it. The Mocktown drinkers describe Robin as bold, strong, beautiful, mysterious. And I loved this line. She literally had us all in the palm of her hand. That was funny.
Yes.
That was good. It's Robin who recognizes in the beginning that their log pose has been captured by a sky island.
Yeah.
Okay. And then she says a couple things that are really important. Never suspect the log pose. That is essential. If we doubt anything on these seas, it should be our own senses. And there will always be an island wherever the needle points. All right. She's resourceful.
Yep.
She has no qualms about stealing what they need.
Nope.
Right? Because she steals the Jaya log pose, right? But she's kind.
Yeah.
Right? So, now, there's a picture of it on the drive. I didn't print it up here, but there's a moment where Zoro looks at her and says, I still don't trust you. And there's a tab in one of these tabs here on that picture that says, yes, I agree with Zorro. Still don't trust her. I mean, this is actually one part of the story where I can divorce my mind from what I know from what I'm reading, really with her character. And I don't know why I can do that. But anyways, we learned a lot about her. And of course, it's appropriate because we just had her
just
join
met
the
her.
crew.
Yeah.
Something that made me laugh.
Okay.
The Q&A from chapter 223. In chapter 157, Luffy and crew are crying for food, but just behind them is a tree full of tangerines. Why didn't they just eat them? Otis' answer. This is hysterical. Yes, there are tangerines, but if they took a bite, it would mean instant death. Definitely certain death. A man can live without food for a week. He can be strong and live with hope for the future. Or he can eat the tangerine and battle with the navigator.
Yes.
That's right. But that would be taking a big risk with his life. I'm sure if it were a life or death situation, she wouldn't be so mean as to let them die. All right. That was just a fun little side track of different things going on.
Yep.
I thought the wooden diving barrel. The rest of this is like pretty much some of the in order stuff.
Yeah.
All right, I got the miscellaneous stuff out of the way. I love the wooden barrel. 20 pages. 20 pages. 20 pages. Mind you, it wouldn't be 20 pages if it wasn't double spaced 18 pitch. But if I want to be able to see with my bifocals, I have to have larger print.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But
okay, but
geez, I thought that was like 2 pages. No, that's like 5 more.
we can stop.
No,
anytime
keep
you
going.
would like
I'm just
to.
impressed. Really,
Well,
I'm just impressed.
I've been doing my work. Okay.
Yeah.
Wooden barrel diving suits were hysterical.
Yes.
They were just funny. And I mentioned I thought Masura was going to be their nemesis. You have to appreciate a dude that can punch out a sea creature underwater. That was just a nice little, gigantic, monkey underwater. Who we don't find out who are the giants that saved the ship from the gigantic sea turtle. We don't find out. You just get the shadows of these.
Oh, those big silhouettes.
Yeah, those silhouettes.
Oh, just you wait and see.
Well, I wrote. We'll have to wait and find out. You don't pull out the gun, shoot it without finding out where the gun came from.
Yeah,
we'll find out. But it was an intriguing moment.
You'll like the answer.
Well, I like the answer. Okay,
I think you will genuinely like the answer.
I don't know what was funnier, the look. I caught it. The look.
Yeah, I know.
The monster trio kicking Masura into the sky, or the fact that Luffy casually shares this with Shoju later on, and then Shoju tries it. It says, "Oh, you're right." You get this gigantic monkey flying up in the air. That was really good.
Yep.
Luffy marching around the ship in knight's armor. That was hysterical. I mean, there was a lot of funny bits.
Oh,
in
yeah,
this.
there was a lot.
Let's see. I love the fact that Blackbeard's marksman was shooting birds out of the air. They fall on the boat, and everybody's reaction is free lunch.
Yeah.
Pick them up, take them to the cook. So they get to Mocktown, right? We meet the Roshio pirates, the Bellamy pirates. I think the Roshio pirates was just to show Bellamy's cruelty and skill. They kind of disappear right away.
That's pretty much,
right? I really enjoyed Luffy's reaction to Bellamy when they first meet. And this one, and you'll have to show this because it's the look on his face. He says, the people that I've met today are huge.
Yeah.
Right? And Bellamy, is just bigger than him. Except Luffy knows his skill. He knows his power. And yet the look on his face there is like, you are really big. Acting, not acting. Bellamy, I mentioned he's kind of a cardboard cutout. He's very definitely a bully. He enjoys hurting people. He attacks Luffy. He ends up not only attacking Luffy, but he ends up attacking Zoro. Even though Zoro put a sword to his throat, right? And Luffy shouts, "Don't fight him." So he doesn't. And then Luffy has what I called his Shanks moment, and I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. He doesn't fight back. We get the payoff a couple pages later because he has a flashback to Shanks and Ace, and that's in the following chapter. He gets out on the street, and the Cherry Pie Pirate tells Nami that her friends won that fight. You know, she's in there screaming, fight him, fight him, fight him. There's a whole theme in this section of the book of Nami changing her mind and Zoro getting quite put out by the fact that she can't make up her mind.
Yes.
Right? If you're aiming for the top, you don't always need your fists to show your might. Zoro made a comment. It's not just one guy. And I didn't catch what that comment was about. He says, it's right after that scene.
You don't have these labeled right yet.
No. First of all, it would be this book right here, I think.
It would be that book.
It would be this book. It's the end.
Yeah.
Your friends won that fight. Your comeback was impressive. You've got guts.
The New Age they spoke of as rubbish.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The New Age.
I love this.
This is.
This is very important for the future.
Okay.
And that's what I'll say about it. Don't need to show you my Luffy.
Well, I'm not going to spend too much more time looking at it.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Nami says, hey, maybe that guy knows how to get to Skypiea. I wonder who he is. Well, it's not just one guy. Then what? There's more than one, Zoro says. I think. What is he referring to? You can't tell me, but I'm going to get the answer to this. Okay, no, that's okay. That's fine. That's fine. But
no, it's not that we have... That is a line.
Stuck in my craw since I read this.
Keep it stuck in your craw,
okay.
Because there's a lot of discussion about that line.
Really?
Yeah. There's some theories.
About this line?
This line plays into a lot of those theories.
Okay.
And when we get to a more appropriate time in your journey, I will explain some of these theories.
All right, no, I can live with that.
In more depth.
All right. There's more than one, I think. That's a heck of a statement to leave hanging in the air.
Any guesses? I'm curious. What is it making you think of?
My very first thought was it had to do with Blackbeard. Right.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, it is. Okay. It is something with Blackbeard. They are talking about Blackbeard in that.
Right, yeah. It has something to do with Blackbeard. And the obvious thing is how big he is, you know. And I had this picture in my mind of the guy up on the snow mountain who incorporated his two henchmen and they became three in one. Yeah, that's at Walpole. And I was wondering if it was something like that, but that thought just went in and out, and then I just kept going with the story because I figured if it's important, we'll come back to it. And if it's not important, it's just a toss-off line. I'm not going to waste my time with it.
Okay.
Except that it's stuck in my mind.
Keep it stuck in your mind.
Okay.
Keep it stuck in your mind.
All right.
Very big reason why I'm not talking about this, because there's story elements that aren't introduced at Jaya that get introduced after Jaya.
One of those seeds planted. Wow, that's going to be a long payoff.
Oh no, there's just more to.
Okay.
There's more to the situation. So.
Okay. Is it Sarkis?
I have no idea.
I would be looking at it and saying Sarki. His offer to buy Nami was. Did you see how fast her head twisted around? I honestly thought she was going to attack him. Someone who used to be owned. Oh, I thought there was going to be a big fight. I was wondering if she was going to beat him down with her bow staff. I mean, I really did. I was almost disappointed that she didn't, but that was a moment. We don't get the satisfaction of her slapping him down.
Yeah,
right. We get a different
different satisfaction. I mean, taking down Bellamy kind of satisfies everything.
Kind of does it. So, there's a lot of action and a lot of talk with Shoju and Masura. They want to, repair the boat. They learn about how to get up to Skypiea. They realize the danger and everything that needs to take place, and we get that bit of the story. And there's not really a whole lot to say about that, except that the Marigold gets wings, and clearly that's what's going to get them up to Skypiea. All the ships that fell from the sky didn't have wings. The question is, how did they know to put wings on it? That was my only question of this whole storyline of the repairing of the boat. And, and a team of monkeys, and they're moving quickly, and we get the whole...
you know how they get up there, right?
Yeah, I read, that whole thing, but there's a...
I think it was more just they innovated. They were like, hey, let's try this. This will help you.
First of all, it was a real cool effect. But
you get to this point, because I believe that's where I told you to leave off.
236. You told me to read through the end of 236, and I read through the end of 236. So
if you turn the page, we can figure out.
Yes, I did.
So you read through that. You see why the wings are important.
Yeah. You do see the. The only question is, how did they know? Except that they did. It worked. It's the difference between getting up there and not.
Yeah.
And of course, they're not going to not get up there, because if they don't, there's no Skypiea. So
exactly.
There wasn't so much of a surprise that they make. There's really no tension in them getting up there. There was no question as to whether or not they get up there.
Yeah.
I think the thing that was most interesting was the Sharknado.
The water spout.
Yeah, the big sea creatures coming out of that, right? Okay. But Bellamy, and you said it, his big mistake was attacking Cricket, Masura, Shuju, but I love this sequence. They find Bellamy's mark on the tree. Mm-hmm. This is getting back to the notes as I'm jumping all over the place.
Yeah.
Zoro, with his hands in his pockets, need help? And Luffy says, nope, I can handle them. The utter confidence that the both of them share there.
Yes.
In direct contrast to the beatdown that they allowed themselves to take.
These two are fully aware of their... Honestly, honest to God, if Luffy wasn't so invested into, avenging his friends, and if Zoro could, not get lost every 2 seconds... You've been noticing that? Because it's freaking hilarious. It never dies. There's theories about that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One of them is that Zoro is an eternal log pose to the One Piece, and that's why he keeps getting lost. That's one of them. That's more of a for fun theory.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's just funny. But yeah, the confidence in this whole panel, to get back to it, is basically Luffy could have just sent Zoro. Too.
Yeah, he probably could have. Yeah.
Luffy, if he could have just said, "Hey Zoro, go get it back," but no, he's taking it personally. Right. He's going to go do it himself.
Well, they could have sent Sanji to go get it back.
Yeah, they could have sent Sanji to go get it. Sanji would have
obliterated them. But I don't. But the real cool thing is, Luffy's running through the jungle and he's thinking about the other people in their dream and the whole bit, which is so good. Now Luffy has had what I have called his Ben Grimm moment.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they use the word clobbering a couple times in the story, and Ben Grimm's big line is it's clobbering time, right?
Yeah.
And I've realized now, and y'all know my fascination with the artwork with hands. Right, and I've mentioned it several times, but this is the signature. There's an ass whooping about to take place.
It's this pose essentially here, where he's like,
well, except that
crack his knuckles.
Well, except that the hand is adult and it's mature and it's strong. In the rest of the pig, look at the hand right there. I mean, it's just not, right? It's more in keeping with his normal body. So when you see this hand come out, that's why I replaced the text with "It's clobbering time," because that's what it is. This has been a grim moment, all right? And there's an absolute casual trust.
Yeah.
By Zoro, all right? Bellamy and Luffy meet up, and Bellamy asks Luffy if can he even throw a punch. Now, the beautiful part about that line, I actually, when you see Luffy later ask, "Oh, you wanted to know if I could throw a punch?" I had to go back pages to double check where that happened. It's such a subtle line, so easy to miss. Can any of you fight? Do you know how to throw a punch? And then later on, in a very quiet, menacing response, Luffy says, "You asked if I know how to punch, right?" And then comes what is the best one-punch takeout in this series to date. And when I saw this, I was bouncing in my chair.
This is up there, and this is competing for #1 for most satisfying punch in the series.
I can believe that. Because I don't know how you top this.
Arguably, it has been topped, depending on who you ask, because there are several punches. There are many punches in the series that are just so satisfying, and I can't wait for you to get to them.
Well,
because they're just so good.
Luffy gets the gold. He completely dismisses Sarky. Now, this was an absolute brilliant moment of story writing. Okay, this is one where I just sat back and said, this was so well written. It's not another fight. It's not another battle. Sarky has no chance against Luffy at all, to the point that Luffy doesn't even bother trying. He throws the bag of gold over his back and he walks away. And he leaves Sarky yelling, "Hey, stop, come back, come back." And he just says, "No," and he just keeps going. He just totally dismisses him. And if I remember correctly, he gets taken out by someone later on in the story. I think. Did he? I'd have to go back and look. But nothing is better than Luffy turning his back on Sarky and just walking away. It was it was so satisfying.
He definitely does, but I don't know if he does it anywhere close to this point in the story.
So the interesting thing about this is the wrap up to this entire sequence, to this entire growth moment for Luffy, and I think for Zoro too, to a certain extent. This idea that you don't always have to settle things with your fists. Zoro is still aggravated with Nami because she asks him, "Why didn't you go help Luffy?" And he says, don't go fight, don't fight. Will you please make up your mind? And then Zoro, in a single panel, turns and he looks at her, and in this translation versus the one that was on the screen, I like the one in the book better. He says, "Get beat up. Those guys weren't worth it. It's heartbreaking when you're left with only pity after a fight." Now, if you go back to the end of that fight, there is a panel where Luffy and Zoro look at each other and they just trade a look. And that look is this message being sent between the two of them. They don't need words to say it. They just shrug their shoulders and move on.
And I mean, think about, from Zoro's perspective, think about his backstory.
Yes.
How many fights did he lose with Kuina?
A lot. Yeah, he did.
How do you think he felt after losing to Mihawk? Luffy was the only one who was essentially like, "Hey, man, you're following your dream." Everyone else is like, "Oh, thank God you're alive. Oh, thank God you're alive." He knows, he's speaking from experience, essentially, is what I'm getting at. Yes.
Amazing moment. The artwork. But, the interesting thing is you got to go deeper into the story, and then suddenly you're like, go back.
It's a page turner. and you have to rewind and look at stuff.
Actually,
a lot of people do.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Page turner.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking, am I hand gesturing the right direction for this book? But yeah, I actually am. I'm doing it in reverse.
Yeah.
That's how accustomed I've gotten to reading what is for us back to front.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go back, you go this way. Otherwise, I'm ruined for reading. So the real cool thing, you get the roll call of major and minor players, and I was so excited about this, and I was kind of yakking about this, last week when we were talking about it. Buggy returns with Elvita.
Yes.
Narcoleptic Ace shows up and sits for a meal with them, and then I had this thought. I didn't say this on camera. I said it to you downstairs. I'm going to share it with everybody here because we finished filming last week.
Did this.
We finished
did.
Filming. Turn off. Went downstairs, and this is what I've got. Fire Fist Ace, right? He's the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates. Whitebeard is the only pirate to fight Goldie, Roger, and Liv. Notice I've got his name down properly. They say that Whitebeard is the closest to the treasure. But Ace is a D. And so I had the thought, is Ace playing long ball? Is he staying close to the man who's got, in his mind, the best opportunity to get it so that he can take it for himself? Is he waiting to make his move on the treasure, and he's using Whitebeard to get as close to it as he can? Because the brothers, same dad, same granddad. We've got the D with Goldie, Roger. You don't just walk away and let somebody else take that treasure. You just don't. And then yesterday, I'm thinking to myself,
I'm so excited for you to get farther and figure out, because every time you bring up when you start theorizing, it's so much fun. It's so much. I told you this last week, that whether you're right or you're wrong or you're half right and you're half wrong, or you're like you're so close and without even knowing it, it's so fun no matter what to watch. It's so much fun. This is one of those moments. I'm not going to tell you which, but
no, that's okay.
This is a really fun moment.
I can,
no spoilers. You know the drill. All right.
I could see them. I could see the brothers sharing the treasure. I think it's a stretch, but I could see it. I could see it. They're so much alike. The way they eat. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay. So we get the 5 elders, the supreme leaders of the world government, the need to replace their crocodile, the worry that Shanks is reaching out to Whitebeard because I love this quote. Any contact between Whitebeard and Shanks would be catastrophic. Oh my goodness. Talk about baiting the hook.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Hyping this man up.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just looked at
this man up. Both of them.
Yeah.
It's just
hyping
it up.
We've been waiting almost 250 chapters to get a little bigger taste of the pirate who stares down a sea creature that bit his arm off.
You're going to be waiting a lot longer.
It says, go.
Okay, I'm going to tell you this. You're going to be waiting. Fact checking
don't tell me. Don't tell me. Because if it's like 900, I'm going to scream.
It's not quite there.
Okay.
You're going to be... It's not going to be that long. But there's a moment you're going to love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's great. Don't worry. They meet soon.
I believe it. They kind of have to because Whitebeard slapped down his emissary.
You'll like that meeting.
So,
you know it's coming.
Yes.
You will like the meeting.
Okay.
Right. I guarantee you're going to enjoy the meeting.
Whitebeard is huge. Oh
yes.
He's huge.
Yes.
Okay. Other warlords, Sir Don Quixote do Flamingo, Sir Bartholomew Kuma. We meet the Great Advisor Tsuro, the Vice Admiral of the Navy. Suru? I'm sorry, Suru. All right. Buddha Sengoku, Admiral of the Fleet, the Supreme Commander of the Navy. I mean, you just get this rundown of power players, right, through this whole thing. Lafitte, this was a great description. A former sheriff from the West Blue, notorious for his brutality, later banished. All right?
Yeah.
And he's the guy who looks like a mime. All right? And then Edward Newgate, the great pirate Whitebeard, the strongest man in the world. And I'm looking at this page and I'm like, what's up with his health? He's taking more juice than Sosa, Bonds, and McGuire combined.
Yep.
But I actually, you'll think this is crazy.
Yeah.
But actually, I counted all of the medicinal pumps on the trees and all the lines going into his body.
Yeah.
He did not have as many as your sister did when she was first in the hospital.
Yeah.
And either you've lived that experience or not. But if you have, you can understand why I would do it. Because I was like, small potatoes. So, Lafitte recommends Blackbeard the Pirate for the open warlord seat. I thought that was very interesting. We get, now, the Cherry Pie Pirate. I think I'll think of Blackbeard as that, just because I gave him that name.
That's fair.
He's looking for Luffy's head so that he can make his reputation. That's an interesting juxtaposition. He thinks he needs to make his reputation, and someone's recommending him for a warlord. You would think to be recommended for a warlord, his reputation is already made. That's the look that says, I got something here. No, maybe not.
I don't know how much this is really... I'm going to be the bad one. Lafitte is a member of Blackbeard's crew. He's recommending Blackbeard because he's a member of Blackbeard's crew.
Okay.
Yes.
That's disappointing.
He's trying. Lafitte, because they ask Lafitte, who are you, how'd you get here, and then they recognize him.
Okay. So it's not that big of a spoiler, but...
It's really not.
But, okay.
It's really not. I'm sorry. I just thought I'd just clarify that.
Okay.
Throw you one just because...
Okay.
Yeah. It'll make it so much easier.
He's baiting so many hooks in this. He really is.
Yes, he is. And that is a massive, massive hook.
Sorry. Oh, he one-shot Sarkey. Who was it? Blackbeard must have one-shot.
Probably.
It was Blackbeard that one-shot Sarkey.
Probably.
Yeah. Because
or one of his crew. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was so excited when Mihawk returned. I was so excited. Okay. Whitebeard rejects his Shanks later, calling him a brat. I really want to see how this works out between Whitebeard and the brat that stared down the sea monster. All right. I'm watching. You see this right here?
The itsy bitsy ship goes up the water spout. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
You've never heard the Itsy Bitsy Spider sung unless you've heard Little Richard do it. And you grew up listening to that, right? You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Right, you got to find it. It's Boynton. What is the name of that album? Sandra.
I don't know.
Anyways, just look online. Little Richard.
We'll
Itsy
find
Bitsy
it
Spider.
and post it.
That was stuck in my head. During the ride-up, even as everyone is trying to swallow their panic and fear, Nami realizes that she can navigate the ship in the wind and water, and she takes charge with a smile. It's cool. She was back in her element.
Yes.
She was back doing what she knew what to do. She was giving commands, and people were following them. So that was really nice to see. Now, I may be wrong in this. I'm expecting the trip to Skypiea to be a completely separate adventure from everything being set up near the end of Jaya. Everything in Jaya is going to be waiting for them for when they return from Skypiea. I think the connection is going to be the finishing up of Cricket and Nolan's story. This is just my guess.
Yes, there are still some seeds planted in Skypiea that do come back into play back on the surface, but yeah, essentially Skypiea is kind of It's kind of
a separate story.
It's a big side quest. It's a side adventure.
Okay.
Luffy's like, well, I want to go on an adventure, so I want to go on an adventure.
So from Oda's writing perspective,
But there's important stuff in Skypiea.
I believe that.
A lot.
I believe that. He's expecting everyone to have forgotten what was going on down below by the time the Skypiea adventure ends. So that when you get back down to Skypiea, everything's kind of like new and fresh again, and some surprises and some, oh yeah, way back.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I'm expecting to take place.
Yeah.
So from my confusion and stuff with the beginning of Jaya, it was a little bit hard to read. It galloped at a breakneck pace. I was so stinking excited.
It's a lot of paper.
Your thoughts, Gates? You've been sitting so patiently with me.
I think I've spoken enough. I think I might get in trouble for that last little.
Yeah, people are going to give you grief.
Oh yeah, and I expect it, but it's justified. It's justified grief. I read this section. I was like, oh, there's too much stuff going on here for us to do. Lump this in with a Skypiea video. We have to talk about this by itself. I had completely forgotten how many big players. You finally meet Blackbeard. Shanks is doing stuff. Mm-hmm. You finally see Whitebeard. You meet several key players in the government, and I forgot that all these things were so. But that's a look of.
I just had a thought.
You had a thought.
I just had a thought. No. This one I have to tell you off camera.
Okay.
No, it's not dirty or anything. I mean, it's not inappropriate, but I just had a thought, and I.
Okay. Yeah. So Jaya, like this is kind of reverting back to the. I told you this on the phone earlier today. Watching the part 1 of this felt like reverting back to the very first few episodes in this series.
Oh, you did mention that.
Yes. Where you're like, oh, there's all this new stuff, and it's crazy, and it's goofy, and it's so much fun, and there's stuff here, and that's just what I knew Jaya would feel like. And, I could go into the theme of the theme of dreams and adventure, but, like, I think you piecing things together, coming up with your theories, your predictions, and reacting to what's going on is really, we're going to need some more of these videos and just to spice it up. And then we can go back to the actual analysis for the longer stuff that has just a tiny bit more meat.
Okay.
But I will say this is where the theme of dreams really sinks its claws into the story.
Yes.
Because it's always been there. Like,
sure, the whole dream of being the king of the pirates.
The world's greatest swordsman, map the world. But, this is where they this is where Luffy stakes his claim and says, yes. Because he's being seen by other pirates. He's being seen by people who doubt him, that aren't just antagonists, that are obstacles in what he's trying to do. This is where he's starting to plant his foot in front of the world and say, I will do this, I will accomplish this. And when Luffy puts his foot down and says, I'm going to be king of the pirates to major players further on in the story, it's an event.
Well, so, he verbalizes his claim one-on-one in Alabasta when he tells Sir Crocodile, if you're the 7th Warlord of the Sea, I'm the 8th.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's a huge claim.
Yeah,
that's a private claim.
But that's also Luffy kind of being Luffy and not understanding, But also, there's a little bit of Luffy goofy in there.
Yeah.
So, but as he goes forward, he's only going to meet more people like Bellamy.
Right.
So this is this is where that starts, where he's going to truly have to start fighting not just the people who are in his way, but the people who may not be in his way. He's going to have to start proving the doubters wrong.
And there's the whole bit about the up and comer always.
God, I can't wait for Water 7. Ah! Sorry.
Water 7 gets mentioned in the comments a lot too.
Yeah.
Water 7 must be a real popular arc.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Is that the arc they want Mama Peaches back for? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, this must be something.
It is something. It is something.
Gotcha.
It is very much a something.
So,
yeah, I don't really have much else to add to this. This video is already long enough, so thank you genuinely for sticking through it if you've made it this far. Because, yeah, we just needed a whole Jaya video.
yeah.
Skypia's next. Although this format might return for Skypia.
Yeah, I think we need to. I was warned tonight. Don't let this become a chore. The beautiful part about this was that my problem with this wasn't that I felt it was a chore going through it.
The problem is that you couldn't write down your notes because you were too engrossed in the story.
I was so engrossed in the story. Every time I picked up the book and started reading, I would get lost in the story. My energy level has been just through the roof.
Yeah.
There's probably a few things I need to get done at home now that I have this recorded.
Yeah.
So as always, thank you for the spoiler warnings. Love your comments. Try to respond to every one of them. We really appreciate it.
Genuinely appreciate them, even when you're yelling at me. Yes. Continue to yell at me.
Yes, and I cannot assure you that Skypia videos are going to come quickly. So be patient with us. There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes, but
yeah.
We are going to try to get those soon.
I will get on it.
And as soon as possible. But in the meantime, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you're down there, there's also a big shiny subscribe button. I don't know if it's shiny. I don't know. Depends on what operating system you have, I think. But
welcome to everybody who has subscribed here this month
recently,
because there's been a whole bunch. We appreciate it. Welcome to the family. Thank you, and
sincerely thank you.
Yeah. And now,
guess for joining us.
Guess what I get? Like this wasn't enough. Guess what I get to go home and do? Reread Act 1 of the entire Act 1 of Macbeth because I'm teaching it in the morning.
Fun. Well, you have fun with that.
I will.
Hopefully you had fun with this video. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches.
We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.